manufacturing. And under his leadership, VIT was the first college to have got the autonomous status, which currently runs 50 plus programs from KG to PG, has 2,000 plus employees, 20 plus international tie-ups, and VIIT and VIT together has 20,000 plus students. Bharat is also the founder of the Akar Foundry, which is in manufacturing of aluminum auto parts, and owns several retail operations like Kudos, and is also in the Agarwal Samaj has given him the outstanding contribution in the field of education. And he's also the trustee of the famous Mahalakshmi Mandir. So to both of you, what I want to start with is initially with both of you, and Rajita ji can maybe start just a little bit background about yourself and how the change is happening in the education today, and then go on to Bharat as well.
Thanks, Vishakha. Nice to be here with Dheeraj and you have hosted this, and Bharat, nice to meet you. Great work you and your organization is doing in the field of education, and as also what Vishakha said in so many other fields. So Vishakha, you said enough, I think, about our introduction. So I will jump straight to the discussion that we are having today, which is so important. Prime Minister has extended the national lockdown. And I think this last month and a half, I would say from the first week of March until now, I think will remain for a long time to come in this century. I think in the field of education. Catharsis, because I don't think anybody of us has ever experienced anything like this in our living life. I don't think we are trained to deal with anything like this. And I don't think as a generation, I do hope that this remains the only watershed moment in the other sense for our century, because after the Great Depression in the 1920s, I think this is an incident which has gripped really the whole world together as it has. And education is a huge, has had a huge impact on education. So, and why do I say it is a catalysis? Because, because all of us, and I think Bharat will agree, all of us who have been used to physical education, classroom style learning, teaching models, I think all our faculty have by choice or by force been faced to embrace online teaching. Students have been forced, or it has been a situation where we have all been forced to really embrace the changes that have happened. So, we are talking to all our colleagues from different universities, different colleges all over the country, all over the world, and everyone has the same experience to report, that everyone has had to go digital, has had to go online. Many of us have felt that the change was so sudden that there was no time for any resistance. Normally when you go through a change process, there is a certain resistance, there is a certain hesitation, but this time we had no time. So I think this is one of the first transformation cases where the transformation has been instant. And I have a great respect for all our faculty members, all our team members who really faced the challenge head on. And, we did humongous amount of training amongst ourselves to equip ourselves, to equip our students to go digital, to do online classrooms. And we have been almost 100% virtual now since the lockdown, actually since the week before the lockdown, because we are in the state of Odisha, which was shut down even before lockdown. So I think this is a harbinger of change forever. I don't think education will ever go back to be what it was before the lockdown. I foresee that in the coming years, we will definitely move to a more blended hybrid model of in-class and online training. And just yesterday I was on a webinar with about 3,000 people from the field of education, and I was sharing that so many of us in these past year or two, or maybe even more, have given so many speeches about, are we future ready? How do our kids become future ready? What is the future of work going to look like? What is the future of jobs going to look like? And guess what? The future has come into our present today. None of us, I think, even the best thought leaders and minds of the world could have foreseen. Of course, there is a video of Bill Gates going around where he spoke 6-7 years ago about a virus coming into the world. But I don't think any of us ever envisaged a situation like this. So the future is becoming our present much faster than we can imagine, and therefore I think the more aware, the more accepting, and the more agile will survive. And I think that is what we are experiencing in education also. And I will talk more about what we are doing, what specific things we are doing. I would like for Bharat to make his opening remarks, and then we will move the conversation ahead.
Absolutely. And, agile is the word that we are hearing almost every day, regardless of whether it's in the education field or manufacturing or IT. So thank you so much, Rajita ji, for your opening remarks. We'll now move on to Bharat. Bharat, would love to hear from you how things have been recently in the last 1 month, and what are some of the changes that you're already seeing in the field of education.
Well, thank you, Deemal. Now meet Rajita ji. I meet for the first time, and I have already developed a lot of respect for her through her small talk that she has given to us so far. Well, of course, as ma'am has mentioned, the last 1 month has been a turning point for almost all industries, and so has been for the education sector as well. I believe, like she mentioned, we were always discussing about the future of education for quite a number of years. Digitization is about the new things that students would be more this all these theories about the future of education that we have been discussing for the last 3 years plus. I believe everything is only fast forwarded. Pune and in general in Maharashtra, I can very well vouch for all of them that everyone has adapted to the situation brilliantly. I commend our teachers over here more because students were always going to be ready with this wave. Because students always have loved digitization in whatever format it has hit them. Whenever it was movies, they were the first one to log into the Netflixes and the Amazon Primes. When it was shopping, they were the first ones to shop online. When it was gaming, they were the first one to start gaming online. And even when the Western world started to enter India through Coursera and one to adapt to this online media. In fact, there was a reverse pressure on colleges and physical education. So students, I am sure, were meant to get into this habit. The teachers always had a challenge because totally, but the adaptation of teachers towards digital education was, and but this without any resistance towards what the teachers have picked it up very well. I believe in the last 1 month we have been able to carry out most of our syllabus online in a much more less time, much more effective way. The bond between teachers and students have grown. More so, a bond between parents and teachers have grown. I can share some data on this. Parent-teacher meetings in colleges. I mean, higher educational institutes and university was something that was always only a small number. Whenever there used to be a meeting called by the teachers for the parents, hardly 10% or 15% of the parents used to attend. Now, because of Zoom and because of other technologies of video conferencing, and in the last 15 days, if I see data of, which is with me, 95% parents have attended and have directly connected with the teachers and notes about the progress of the awards. So I guess what we hear from Rajita ji, this is fast forwarding of education systems. Our teachers have put up the mantle very bravely. I can also quote over here our school teachers. Now, school teachers is something that have been the last people to come on the digitization wave. I see my daughter who is in 9th standard now, or would be going to 9th standard now, and she is busy from maybe 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the teachers are there and they are doing the job as good as they would be doing in the classroom. I will share some more insights and more comments and more feedback of this last 1 month teaching learning maybe a bit later. But I feel like we are complimenting the policemen, the health workers, the government machinery for the fantastic work that they are doing during this crisis. I also should say our teachers have decided that they will not leave education behind.
That is fantastic, Bharat. I think teachers have always been the guiding force of any economy, and India is definitely blessed to have such teachers. So I have one question from Gaurav Patil, and this is for both of you, Rajita ji and Bharat. So this is connected to what we've been saying. So he's asking, do you think that online edtech industry will overcome the brick and mortar setup of education post-lockdown forever?
Should I take it first?
Yes, Didi.
Please, ma'am.
I don't think there can be I don't think there can be a full replacement ever that will happen, because what we have to remember is that kids are not coming to schools, colleges, and universities only for building their knowledge or competence. These are beautiful years in the life of any human being where we build character, where we build connection, lifelong relationships, friendships, where we develop a consciousness of a human being, I think. And as Bharat said already, I think along with, in this lockdown especially, our teachers, whether for primary, secondary education or higher education, I think have played a huge role in keeping the mental fabric of our country sane. And kids had nothing to do. I think we would have become a dysfunctional society. So children are coming to school and college not just to learn knowledge or information, not to just equip themselves for their competence, but to build character, to build connections, to build their consciousness. And I think that needs physical human touch. So definitely I foresee that there will be a lot that can happen online. We have all been discussing about anytime, anyhow education. We have all been discussing about flexible education. We have all been discussing about adaptability in terms of the modes of education. And I think it has all got fast forwarded. We might all be doing that faster, sooner than later. But I think it will never replace fully. I don't think so. And also there are so many programs, like we have a faculty of architecture, or we are the first university in Asia to have a school of osteopathy. Now architecture needs practicals to be done, design to be done. Osteopathy needs physical clinics to be done. Engineering universities need, in the labs. So those are not 100% replaceable online. So I think we will have a good blend. Maybe we will have a more, a more tilt towards digitization and online, but it will always stay a blend.
Thank you, Rajita Didi. I totally second your opinion. I don't think so that physical education, on-campus education can be replaced. I, in fact, believe strongly that the online education system, digitization system, the edtech companies will only complement the current systems which will enhance the overall learnability of the students. I'll give you an example of engineering education where we are more or less somewhat to be strong. It's been almost 5 years that at VIT, we have implemented what is called the flipped classroom system of education, wherein the students don't come to the classroom at all for understanding theory. Theory is already been given to them through textbooks or through notes or through faculty videos and faculty assignments. And also, I should say, most of these videos which teach only theory are available free of cost on YouTube. So how much is it necessary for a student to come to a classroom to maybe see the same theory or understand the same theory that has been taught maybe by a professor on YouTube, or maybe the same professor who's teaching in the classroom on YouTube or on any other education portal? The purpose of coming to college is to exchange ideas, to work in teams, to do project work, to solve more examples and problems, as you say in mathematics, to do more collaborative discussions, and to learn more from peers. I think when you look at premiumness in education or premiumness in knowledge, basic theory is now a commodity. We all understand 1, 2, 3, 4, ABCD, and in any terms we may say engineering, architecture, pharmacy. This is now available across at zero cost. What students want is now all these other facets of education which involve a lot of group activities and teamwork, for which still physical education or physical being close to each other is very, very important. Thus, I believe that it's only a matter of time. Online tools will supplement theory education, but more hands-on, more practical experience and exposure would be required by students and given to students by the on-campus education. Thank you.
Thank you for answering. I would also agree that we need to be in, though social distancing is going to be the norm for a few months now, at least, till the vaccine is out there. I think we all need to interact with each other. Human beings are social animals, so we need the social connect, and that is why physical education is going to be a must as well.
Okay, so with the advent of social media and online exposure, today parents are they're giving even more importance to values, right? So I would like to understand from both of you, Rajita ji and Bharat, how is Sri Sri University and VIT playing a key role in bringing this about?
That's a very, should I take it? Bharat, I am kind of...
Ma'am, please do the honors.
Going ahead. Would you like to take it first?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'd like to be after you.
So that's a very good question, Vishakha. And I think as a world today, we have been humbled to reassess our values. Today, the wealth is no longer the wealth we knew. And, health has become truly the wealth, which it should be always. And we have become an equal world if you look at it today. So values, I think, in a post-COVID world are going to be a very defining aspect of life as we know it. And I think for us in Sri Sri University, our biggest good fortune is that we are founded by Pujya Gurudev, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar ji, and his values of ethics, his values of compassion, of service to humanity, of rising above your ego to be really available to do the right thing. I think so many of these things are, I would say, a sort of an underlying fabric foundation of our university. In fact, our 3 core values are learn, lead, and serve. So learn from the best and every source possible so that you can lead. And lead is important because leading is about taking responsibility, being accountable. I mean, both are leaders in your in your industry. Leadership is no longer about position or perks. It is about responsibility and accountability. So learn, lead, and lead so that you can serve. We have the DNA to understand that leadership is incomplete if it doesn't close the loop of service to society. So I think this has been a huge part of our culture. It is the way we live life. on campus, all of us are involved in service activities, community activities. All our kids do service. Even now in the lockdown, just 2 days ago, we distributed close to 40,000 packets of ration, all around our neighborhood. Even when kids are on campus, we have about 80 to 100 villages in our surrounding where our students actively go and do seva service activities. And I think this is very, very important for students today, because as a world we are becoming so impatient. Everything is about instant. Pizza doesn't come in 30 minutes means I don't need to pay for it. Everything is instant gratification. And in this mode, we were conditioning the minds of our children that you can have it all. If you don't get it, then you can throw a tantrum. And when you do seva, when you do service, you meet people, or you encounter situations where you meet people who have less than you. And when you see that, your whole life gets reassessed. And I am very proud of our students, because I think this gets integrated in them, and many of them now, we are in fact, Vishakha known as a university of startups. Almost 34 startups have got incubated by our students, and many are social enterprise startups. So this is a way, and that in our campus, meditation, breathing techniques, yoga, this is part of our daily life. It's a daily way to live, really, that gets sculpted in our students. And I think they carry these values of discipline, these values of a pure way of living, a sattvic way of living. I think they carry them themselves as they walk around. So this is what is our, this is what we are doing. And we are a very young university, and I'm confident that we will do a lot more in the years to come.
Sure. And also Sri Sri University is known to be the only drug-free and alcohol-free university in the entire world, right?
I'm not so sure we can say in the entire world. I think there are many campuses now, but for sure we are one of the few drug-free, alcohol-free, smoke-free, and also we promote a vegetarian campus. So our campus, so that is something we are very happy about.
Wonderful. Bharat, to you?
Well, when it comes to values, I believe in a generation or 2 generations back, building the values amongst children was a joint effort of parents and the institutes, I would say teachers. Now, I'm not putting the I'm putting the general context. More, I would say, efforts have to be put in by the institutes than the parents. The parents have more or less uploaded or outsourced the purpose of value education to institutes because of their schedules, because of their priorities. But in generally, giving knowledge about values is only 10% of the job. Students' practice in values is something that is going to make the values imbibed in them in a much more stronger way. Schools do it very well. The students are disciplined. The students generally also obey to teachers much more than in the higher education setup. So in all our schools and in many other schools, a lot of activities around values, or I would say activities around social values is practically done by students, and students also enjoy doing it. By the way, I'm conscious about 5:30 being the time that we have to observe a silence. So I'll break before that. Second, in the higher education system, the students are more free. They are of course older, which means they have a much more decision-making capability and authority. Given this, we at Vishwakarma have been trying to push them through various social camps that they can attend, go to villages, work in villages, stay in villages, work around them, do small activities here and there. More importantly, in the last, I think, 2 years, being autonomous and totally independent of any regulations, we have decided to have a full credit course on social work by students, which means that a student has to do a social activity. It can be a 1 month, 2 months, going to a village nearby and teaching students over there. It can be something around the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. It can be something around teaching old age people on campus about how do you use mobile phones more effectively. How do you book a Uber? How do you book a online food delivery system? So all these activities are now compulsory, which means a student cannot just pass. He just cannot progress in his third year, fourth year before he completes activity in a second year of engineering. So I believe such practical exposures and opportunities for students when it is unfortunately forced, but makes a transformation to them. I'll just pause because I think so we are approaching 5:30. Let me just pause. I would like to add something more after maybe we come back. It's all
Yes,
right.
yes. I will quickly add here that Bharat has always been a strong supporter and advocate to introduce meditation, Sudarshan Kriya to his students. And, me and Vishaka have been fortunate to go and teach at the VIT college for the last 8 to 10 years. So he's always been a great support in making students stress free. Yes, yes. So it's 5:30 viewers now. So Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar ji and a lot of religious leaders who want peace in the world have asked us to maintain a 5 minute silence from 5:30 to 5:35 p.m. So the prayer is going to be that the human race comes out stronger and let there be health and peace across the globe. So request all to please maintain a 5 minute silence and then we will continue our session. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Let's pray that the human race becomes much more stronger, and let the world be a healthier and a safer and a peaceful place for all of us. Yes, Bharat, please continue.
So I was just continuing that exposure to students to social issues and social projects is something that unfortunately been forced on today. But I'll give you another example where it is not forced on but very, very successful. There is an activity called Atma Bodh that is done by VIT students, wherein some 200 students started this activity about some 5+ years back. The objective was very simple. Uh, we are located in a place where you have a lot of middle income group and lower middle income group people living around us. So the parents are old and not mobile friendly, not computer friendly. So get these old people on the campus during the evenings and train them on computer literacy and mobile literacy. Today, the number of people who are attending this whatever course or sessions of the students, it's totally conducted by students and in fact driven by them altogether. The number of people who were involved in this, who were recipients of this, were maybe some first 200, now is more than 2000. But more importantly, initially only 200 students were part of this volunteer group. Today it is more than 800. And
Wonderful.
the only motivation for the student to join the group is because of the huge impact that he has seen in a fellow student who has taken the course himself, or who has taught the course himself, I mean to say. Of course, apart from this, we have Vishata and Dheeraj coming to us to teach art of learning sessions to our students. We also invite Narendra Bhavdani sir through his life skill activities on campus for similar activities. I honestly believe there is much more to do than what we are doing. We are only doing as much because the framework that we work in, we also have those same 24 hours like everyone else has. But I believe there is much more on value education that should be done. We are only doing the so far in a limited way, whatever is best possible in the given time we have in hand with us.
Bharat, we all know about the contributions that you and your family make toward the society, but thank you for being modest and answering the question. So there is a question from Yuvraj Lahoti to all the panelists. He is saying, is it the time for educational institutions to do more extensive research on biological sciences, medical sciences, and to cope up with such situation on psychological research to address human issues like mental and physical well-being?
The short answer is absolutely yes. And I think for the first time, the whole world has recognized um, unilaterally and unequivocally the value of and the importance of mental well-being. I think the way this has become center of plate, governments and central state governments, colleges, organizations are putting focus, I think, on this issue just goes to show that how important it is. I mean, we were just talking, Dheeraj, that many of us now are busy 3 times than we were before, because we are doing so many sessions for people, meditation. In our university also, we are now reaching out so many other universities. The colleges are reaching out to us and we are stretching our hands and supporting them. So mental health, mental well-being, holistic development will become, I think, the norm of the future. And I think we all need to recognize its importance for ourselves and, therefore for our surroundings. And most definitely, in terms of research today, look at what is happening in our country, DRDO. Everybody is now coming ahead to look at what they can do to find a vaccine for COVID-19. And I think this will continue to be the trend, I feel. There will be more collaboration. I see more international collaborations on this. I think we have already become flat as a world, but we will become flatter in some of these matters. Like you are doing it, I am myself conducting lot of sessions which are from 70 countries participate in that. And we will become more integrated as a world in our effort in both these areas that you have very rightly identified.
I agree, ma'am. Of course, it's also a time in the last 1 month that we understand our priorities, all of us as individuals, as societies, as countries, and as a globe. Uh, we are now also in some sort of a situation where we are all equals. I don't mean to say financially or through resources, but we are all equals because we are all at home. With all resources in the world I cannot travel outside. With all resources, I cannot watch a movie of my choice, which is in a theater. So I mean to say this is a biggest equalizing moment where all of us are now equals in one aspect that we are. I'm sure with this, a lot of health hygiene, or I would say mental hygiene, has already happened. We have understood the importance of physical hygiene in the last 1 month. And I'm today is going to carry it for their lives of the importance of physical hygiene. But mental hygiene is also something that has happened in the last 1 month. All of us have been cleansing our brains. I'm sure a lot of our government R&D budgets and even private R&D budgets will go not towards areas of strengthening the military, which is required, but then towards more research areas of medicine, and also to prevent such epidemics and some such diseases to happen in future. Also, we all, I think so, have become mentally strong ourselves in this last 1 month through practice. It's only I remember 2 days of a holiday for our people like the four of us. I think all our workaholics, and for us, 2 or 3 days of holiday was something frustrating. Long weekend aa gaya to karna kya? It used to be a challenge for us, and now we are home 1 month, which means we have overthrown our own ability to stay home and not meet people. I'm sure the mental health of everyone has gone up, but still, uh, we see students having the issues staying home and not meeting, not socializing, and reporting psychological challenges to us. Parents reporting psychological challenges of their wards to our teachers. So I am sure some research and some work around this area has to be done where we can help our youngsters to cope up with these new age issues of no socializing and staying at home. I'm sure we know our priorities now, and we will spend time and money into it.
Thank you so much, both of you, for answering this. One question I personally had is, where do you think the opportunities lie? Because, after every challenge, I'm sure there are some opportunities, and it is your perspective how you see the situation. So, where do you see opportunities for young entrepreneurs, for new educationists per se, who want to be in the field of education? That they can see that, okay, this is the turning point for the education industry, and here is where we can also contribute and we can also find some opportunities. This is for both of you. Would be great if you can answer this, please.
Bharat, this time, do you want to flip the order? Go first, because
I am a SOP person, ma'am. So I would like to follow the standard operating process.
No, there is no SOP. Okay, I can. I'll go here. So, Dheeraj, it's a very good question. And I think there are some opportunities which are staring us in the face, and there will be some which will evolve as we go along. Because if you read some analyst reports, if you read what you know is coming out with market experts, other thought leaders, it is foreseen that the impact of this virus will be felt at least for another 18 months in the way we will be able to come back to our full life as we know it, because the virus is kind of going in cycles. Right now we are with it, by June, Australia, the southern hemisphere, the winter will start. So it remains to be seen what might happen there. And they are also predicting that there might be a danger of a second round, which already we are seeing. Like now, Singapore is already in a second round and in a partial lockdown. So it is foreseen, it is forecasted that it will last another 18 months. So that has implications on travel. It has implications on all the things that we are now kind of restricted to do. But what are the opportunities that I see? Number one, I think this whole explosion, the virtual world that has happened for all of us, I think has opened a dimension that I don't think any of us expected. I mean, I am speaking on an online conference every day, which has a reach of like 3,000, 5,000 people are joining, which I have never experienced even in the largest physical conferences. So I foresee that, leadership platforms, platforms that can bring people together this is one field with a huge, huge opportunity. The second, in specific education, I think the unfortunate fallout of this virus is that we are seeing many people are being let off. Just today, there was a big news about the media industry, how people are being let off. People are no longer subscribing to newspapers, no longer being able to buy them because of this lockdown. And, many teams are being let off. And unfortunately, more of that will happen. We are seeing how in the US, unemployment claims have gone up, from 2 to 3 million to like huge, about 40 times jump. So this will happen, and more people will look for mid-career, middle-age upskilling. So there are many universities in the world which are very good at lifelong learning. NUS is one of them. They have many courses for, people in the age of 40 to 50, 50 to 60, even above that. So I think that might emerge I think, as a good big opportunity for all of us, Bharat, to look at, offering short to medium term upskilling programs. So that is a second opportunity I foresee. A third opportunity I foresee is, I will come back to the point of mental health, that make mental well-being center of plate, whether it's a college, whether it's a school, whether it's a corporate house, whether it's any kind of institution. I think that will become more a norm than the exception that it was. So therefore, a huge opportunity for, not an opportunity, but a huge area to contribute for all those who are in the field of, promoting and nurturing mental well-being. And so this is the third. These are three big things, that come to my mind off the hand. But as we kind of move towards coming out of the virus, more things will come out which might present to us, who knows, tomorrow virtual holidays might become a thing of, might become a norm. Because, if you don't have a vaccine for something, how safe do you feel to go out? Because you don't know who might be a potential carrier. So I don't know, maybe that's an opportunity. Virtual holidays might become an opportunity already, because, we are getting virtual music tours, we are getting virtual operas, we are getting virtual concerts sitting in our house. So virtual holidaying might become an opportunity. So these are a few thoughts that come to my mind. I think more ideas will emerge as we go along. Actually, one more, because I think that is core to at least who we are as either Art of Living or as our parent and Sri Sri University specifically, is the today, for example, social responsibility is something either which is mandated. We have in India, CSR is now mandated, and sometimes whether you like it or not, people do it. But as Bharat rightly said, we have become an equal world, and each of us, irrespective of our resources, are as good as the other. So I think this flatness of existence might manifest in more gestures of equality, for lack of a better word, of how the gap between this and this starts becoming more, leveled. So that will start becoming, so, more social enterprises might spring up in different fields. Physical hygiene has now become the way and the thing of our life. So in these fields, so I can foresee these 4-5 areas.
Great. As rightly mentioned, we don't see the end of this very soon. 18 months, as someone says, it might be 2 years, it might be less than that. Let's pray for the best for us. But we also should understand that India is a huge consumption market, the second largest in the world, third largest in the world outside after maybe the US and China. And a lot of services for us used to come from the US or from the Western world or even from the Eastern world. If we are not going to now travel, and if we are not going to meet socially, and if we are going to stay away from each other, I think it's a huge opportunity for us to serve our own people. And in that context, we already read a lot about manufacturing being now poised to grow in India because of the consciousness in the US companies that China, they cannot depend entirely on China for sourcing. They should look at alternatives, and because of the population and the educated population of India, India happens to be a right place for manufacturing next to China. So we talked about manufacturing, we talked about tourism. I believe being the consumption market and the population, the sheer size of population that we are, if we only start producing the services and products of the same quality that the today's population of India has been recipient to from the West or from the East, we should be serving each other's very well and very, very prosperously. I believe a lot of opportunities for India because we are the market of the world. And when we have the market with us, it's only a matter of how well are we producing and how are we delivering the service. And just to add to ma'am's point about tourism, ma'am, I received today a WhatsApp from Kruger National Park of South Africa that they are doing virtual tours of the safari at 2 time zones for the entire world to see. So it's very much there and it is happening.
Wow. So those are all the silver linings to, everything that's been changing of late. One of the other concern that we have is the deteriorating quality of students, right? And the students being subjected to substance abuse. Schools, colleges, parents, students themselves to overcome this.
Challenge, I think.